All right, this is something I haven't done in a little bit. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. We're going to do top down. We're going to start on the weekly time frame since we've had some high time frame developments here. And the first thing I'm going to point out is the obvious. We've broken above all-time high very significantly. Now, this is a pretty bullish development. I was a little skeptical the first time we got to move up to all-time high. We got an SFP of it and then began retracing. And basically, this was a very important decision range. Are we going to SFP the all-time high and get a rotation to the downside from it? Or are we just going to range and eventually hold the low end of the range and gather up enough fuel to push us through the all-time high? And option B is what happened. History does say that when you break an all-time high significantly like this, you usually have, a few more months of upside at least. Now, everybody tries to predict their cycle tops, and I don't do that kind of stuff. We could, for all I know, top out at 100K and maybe just start ranging and eventually just start retracing. I think that's the least likely outcome, but I mean, it is possible. It does kind of seem like the fundamentals are lining up for Bitcoin to continue rising for the next few months. Charles Hoskinson really got me feeling bullish about Bitcoin, but I'm not going to let that distract me from the technicals. So let's take a look at the technicals. Is there any reason to think that Bitcoin may stop here where it's at? Well, on the weekly time frame, we can see that right now momentum is a little bit lower than it was the last time we tried to push up to all-time high, and it is starting to curve over slightly. So we can see that we may be approaching a red dot here on the momentum wave, starting to curl over a little bit. The VWAP is moving to the downside, but money flow is really what has me feeling bullish here. Money flow has put in a higher high. That is a good sign. After, we kind of got this cool off period with momentum and money flow, they started to retrace following that all-time high SFP, but momentum held its ground. We got a trigger wave, which was technically a lower low, but still, it's a nice looking trigger wave, and the follow through following it with momentum getting an aggressive move to the upside, money flow getting an aggressive move to the upside. This, looks like a very nice trigger wave. Going down to the daily time frame, we can see that price, at least on the Bybit chart, did front run 100K. I know it hit elsewhere on the CME exchange. I think it hit 100K and maybe some other exchanges, but here it did front run it a little bit, and we have gotten a retracement. This is the most significant retracement we've seen in a while. It's about 9% to the downside, we'll say. I don't think we've seen one of those since, before we broke above all-time high, like actually broke above it. This was the last 9% retracement we had. And taking a look at market Cipher, there is some slight divergence on this high, but it looks like it's only with momentum. Money flow did put in a higher high, which, what I say, a divergence with momentum but not money flow is not nearly as strong as a momentum and money flow div. So the fact that money flow put in a higher high here makes me feel better about this divergence. It is not that much concern for me. And it does seem like Bitcoin may be trying to push its way back up towards that 100K mark. I was thinking after that div, we may end up consolidating, we may range, we may retrace a bit more. But at this point, we are getting a pretty aggressive move to the upside from a pretty significant support zone. We can see on the daily time frame VWAP curving back to the upside. So we may try to get another push to the upside with this daily momentum. Hopefully it does not end up diverging again. I think that would be maybe a pretty scary sign if we diverge following another push up towards 100K, especially if money flow does not get another move to the upside to put in a higher high. That would probably lead me to think that we may actually range for a little bit. Maybe we just take out 100K and then come back down to range. Bitcoin has been moving straight up for quite a while now. And thinking back to last bull market, we would get some pretty serious retracements, like something more than 9%. We may get like a 20 or 30% retracement. So that is always possible. And we can take a look at some of the midterm timeframes as well. So we did have some money flow divs on that high with a slight momentum div too. Money flow has been trending to the downside, and momentum recently just kind of breached below the zero line. For a while it held its ground above it. We didn't see momentum drop below the zero line, and now it has, and we got a very oversold wave on the 4-hour. We can see that things are starting to turn to the upside somewhat aggressively here. I did not really love the bottom signals we got on this low, but I did end up taking a trade from there anyway. There were some lower time frame divs, and I will be uploading a video where I went over this trade. I'm still following along with it. But some of the higher time frames, we did not see money flow diverge as we put in that last low. On this 2-hour, money flow was putting in lower lows at the time that we bottomed, and I think that was the case on the 3-hour and the 4-hour too. The money flow kind of hit its lowest point as price did, which didn't give me a ton of confidence in this low. I was kind of thinking that we may put in a lower high, so I did take some profits out locally, but I am still holding part of this trade, and at this point we have broken above a lower high. And that, in my mind, does make the high of this bit of consolidation a target again. I am targeting 100K. So, I mean, that's pretty much where we're at with Bitcoin. At this point, I would say we are consolidating. This is like the most sideways action we've seen in quite a while. Other than that, it's pretty much been straight up. I mean, there was a mini range here as well, I guess. But, I would really be looking at this range that we're forming now as an important decision range, right? If we start breaking above this high significantly, then maybe we see this up move continue. If we start breaking this range significantly to the downside, I don't know if I would say that means we'll get a significant retracement. It could mean that, but I mean, there are plenty of supports that we have left below us, so maybe we don't need to see that far of a retracement to the downside. But regardless, I would be looking at this bit of sideways price action as my decision range. And I'm also looking at this as the range which I'm looking to trade. So, if we start seeing bearish signs up around the highs, I may look for shorts. If I, get another opportunity to long, I will certainly look to long. And I think that's probably where I will leave this video. I will kind of make my return to Bitcoin short and sweet. I don't want to spend too much time going over stuff that may never happen. I don't want to spend 20 minutes going over support levels below us when we may never reach those. I don't want to spend too much time going over resistances because I know we may just blast straight through it. We're kind of at that point with Bitcoin where, things just become harder to predict. We don't stay in ranges for as long, and there's not as many good trades in the ranges. Resistances don't really work that well. I mean, sometimes we just end up blasting through them, even if we start approaching them with bearish things. We could always just blast through later, kind of just engineer some liquidity up here. But as a trader, and also in my case as someone who makes videos about the price action, you have to be able to adapt to the environment, which is easier said than done. But I think I'm doing a pretty good job, and hopefully all of you are too. Alright, well, that does it for this video. Thank you everybody for watching. If you enjoyed, consider leaving a like, subscribing, leaving a comment. I appreciate the support, and I will see you all in the next video.